I call it the Epstein hoax. It's perpetrated by the Democrats, and some stupid Republicans and foolish Republicans fall into the net.
Now, according to a report in the Wall Street Journal, Attorney General Pam Bondi and Deputy AG Todd Blanche informed the president in May that his name does appear multiple times in the case files of sex trafficker Jeffrey Epstein.
Now, Blanche says he is going to interview longtime Epstein girlfriend Ghislaine Maxwell, who is serving a 20-year sentence in prison. The presumption is that she'll be forthright about the almost 30 years that she spent going around the globe with Epstein. But the question is, will she?
Well, what's in it for her? I think is the question that you have to ask. Did they make a deal with her saying, hey, you know, we'll give you some time off. We'll do something. This is a woman who lived in a very rarefied air for a very long time, and prison likely doesn't suit her.
And joining us is ABC News crime and terrorism analyst Brad Garrett, a former FBI agent. Brad, considering how many world leaders, performers, and business titans who had some sort of relationship with Epstein, there could be some bombshells coming out of this, right? But will Maxwell be honest in what she tells?
Well, that remains to be seen, obviously. But I can just tell you what we know about Miss Maxwell, that she's not going to tell them anything without some certain guarantees. Now, one of the obvious ones was to get out of jail.
Right.
Which would, require a pardon or commuting her sentence or some, combination. Well, one or the other probably. But the problem is that whatever she might tell them, whether it's about some world leader, whether it's about the current president, I mean, how do you prove it? If you're talking about stuff that happened, a long time ago, potentially, I mean, Maxwell was with Epstein almost 3 decades. I mean, think about this. By his side, more or less, at a gazillion different locations, from yachts to private islands to you name it, a lot of parties, a lot of people moving through of household names of entertainers and world leaders and business folks, etc. So, if she says that, on date X, on year Y, President X of some country or prime minister or entertainer had a relationship with a 16-year-old. Well, okay, so prove that. You have to be careful. And then you get into all sorts of slander issues saying, well, she said X. Well, okay, well, how do you know that's true? So this whole thing, I think, has such a slippery slope to it. I'm not sure I'd want to be Todd Blanche this morning.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because there's a lot of clamor about the grand jury reports being released. Well, grand jury, reports and people who testify in front of grand juries, their name may come up, but they may not have anything to do with it, or they may have just been tangentially involved. And so, it does seem like a bit of a sticky wicket when it comes to trying to pinpoint who was this guy servicing and what did they do? And it doesn't seem like we're going to get those answers, Brad.
I don't think so. And the question that we talked about at the beginning of this conversation is, will she be forthcoming? Or, if you look at it from her vantage point, clearly she's looking for the best angle to convince the administration that it's not going to harm the president. Because clearly he's not going to commute her sentence or pardon her for sure, unless it benefits him. So, will this? Well, we just don't know. I mean, could it further muddy the water on this whole topic?
Yeah,
absolutely.
And I think
so we'll see.
This is something I was thinking about earlier, Brad, as well. We're talking with Brad Garrett, former FBI agent, ABC News crime and terrorism analyst, about all of the Jeffrey Epstein doings right now. So if President Trump knew his name was in the files back in May, and yet he still directed Pam Bondi to go to the Epstein grand jury testimony and get it unsealed, and now he has to be approving of the deputy AG going and interviewing Maxwell, it would seem that maybe what Trump is mentioned, at least in the Epstein case files, doesn't really amount to much.
I'm not sure about that. I think the following, that you're looking at a lot of deflection going on. So clearly he's mentioned, I assume, a number of times in the FBI files, which are voluminous, but that doesn't mean anything.
Right.
I mean, he's already, there's a gazillion pictures of him with Epstein, all perfectly fine, right? I mean, he's at social events, etc. The question is there information in the files? And some of it may be totally uncorroborated. For example, and I've done, I don't know how many, hundreds of interviews of people that I knew they weren't telling me the truth. But you're capturing in those interviews, and I may push them at the end of the interview, but the point being, you create a report of what they have said. So if somebody makes outlandish comments about some famous entertainer or the president, current president, well, what does that mean? It may not mean anything if you can't prove it. I mean, people can say anything, of course, and there'll be a bunch of that in the file.
So we're not getting to the bottom of anything is really actually what you're saying, Brad.
ABC News crime. Oh, I'm so sorry. We do have to run. ABC News crime and terrorism analyst Brad Garrett, former FBI agent. And yeah, I think all of us would like to know what happened. I don't know that we're going to get those answers.
No, I don't think so either.
Thanks for watching Arizona's Morning News. Click to watch more from KTAR News and hit the button in the middle to subscribe.